You're good.
The next line in your notes. We only have one life to serve God. And we need to make the most of it. You've got one chance. One life to live. That's not just a soap opera. Right? That's a biblical truth. You have one life. And you know what? Today you're 18, 19, 20. Tomorrow you'll be 31. And the day after that you'll be 60. And your life's going to go by that fast. You're going to be a college student one day. You're going to have an infant one day. And then you're going to have grandchildren. And your life is going to go by so quickly. And you're going to look back and you're going to wonder what could have been if I had gone all out. My dad always told us growing up, he said, Josh, don't be a wish-eyed. You know what a wish-eyed is? Wish I'd tried harder. Wish I'd studied more. Wish I'd paid more attention. I wish I'd worked out a little bit more. I wish I'd eaten right. I wish I'd talked to more people about Christ. I wish I'd done more mission trips. I wish I'd done that because now I'm older and I don't have time and I don't have the energy that I used to. While you're young, don't waste your youth. Don't waste the energy you have now because you won't have it later. You won't have the same energy. Don't waste it. You have one life. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10. Someone read this.
Whatever your hand finds to do, do it with your might, for there is no word or thought or knowledge or wisdom in
Sheol.
Sheol, to which you are going.
What is Sheol?
Hell.
Not just hell, but it can mean the grave, right? It can mean you're going into the earth, you're going into the grave, you're going into the pit. Ecclesiastes is all about the one fact that you're going to die one day. And that everything you do doesn't really matter. There's vanity in life. All the pleasure we chase, all the things we desire means nothing because one day we're all going to die. And he says, whatever your hand finds to do it with all your might because you're not going to work and you're not going to think and you're not going to have anything to do in the grave. Your life will end. So don't waste your life. Okay. Instead, what should we do? Look at verse 11 again. Do not be slothful in zeal, but be fervent in spirit. Serve the Lord. Okay? Instead of avoiding, we need to avoid a half-hearted pursuit of Christ, and we must advance with a wholehearted pursuit of Christ and His promises. Hebrews 6, verses 11 through 12 says, and we desire each one of you to show the same earnestness, to have the full assurance of hope until the end, so that you may not be sluggish, but imitators of those who through faith and patience inherit the promises. Do not be sluggish or lazy or slothful in your pursuit of Christ. Do not be discouraged or grow weary in doing good. 2 Thessalonians 3. As for you, brothers, do not grow weary in doing good. Next line in your notes. Do not waste your life, but make the most of the time that God's given to you. Ephesians 5, verses 15 and 16. Someone read this about not wasting your life. That's okay. Someone read that.
Look carefully in how you walk, not as unwise, but as wise, making the best use of the time, because the days are evil.
Make the best use of your time. When Paul says to be fervent in spirit, it literally means to boil in the spirit. Heat leads to productive energy. Let your passion for Christ lead to activity for Christ. Don't just be passionate, but live it out. Do things. Do ministry. Use your gifts. Okay? Don't waste your life. Let's look at verse 12. Remember, this is all in our relationship with others. Verse 12. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in tribulation. Be constant in prayer. In other words, Christians, will endure and rejoice in earthly suffering by prayerful anticipation of the coming kingdom. You're going to suffer. There's going to be tribulation. There's going to be persecution. Paul says, rejoice in your suffering. Be patient when you go through tribulation. And when you suffer and when you go through tribulation, be constant in prayer. Okay? So what do we rejoice in? He says we rejoice in hope. We rejoice in the hope of Christ's soon return. His return. Our hope is that Jesus is coming soon. Right? Titus chapter 2, verses 11 through 13. Someone read this for us.
The grace of God has appeared, bringing salvation for all people, training us to renounce ungodliness and worldly passions, to live self-controlled, upright, and godly lives in the present age, waiting for our blessed hope, the appearing of the glory of our great God and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Okay? That's how we live, rejoicing in hope of Christ's return. That's not all he says. He says, rejoice in hope and be patient in tribulation. This is in your notes. We persevere with patience as we await our ultimate redemption. We wait for the redemption of our bodies. We wait for Christ to return and to make all things new. I think I put Luke 21 on there.
Is this Luke 21?
Yeah, I did. Someone read Luke 21. This is Jesus speaking.
And there will be signs in the moon, or there will be signs in sun and moon and stars, and on the earth distress of nations and perplexity because of the roaring of the sea and the waves, people fainting with fear and with foreboding of what is coming on the world. For the powers of the heavens will be shaken, and then they will see the Son of Man coming in a cloud with power and great glory. Now when these things begin to take place, straighten up and raise your heads, because your redemption is drawing near.
When we see these signs of the end that's coming, we await our redemption. We don't fear. We know that Christ is coming to redeem us. And in the midst of suffering, in the midst of challenges, in the midst of persecution, Paul says in verse 12, be constant in prayer. We remain faithful in constant prayer, which shows our reliance upon God. When you suffer, when you're in tribulation, you need to be constant in your prayers. Because praying shows reliance on God. Reliance.
Can you spell that?
RELIANCE. You've made it to the next round. Alright. How we doing? We good?
Yeah, you can have that.
You guys munching on that.
John David, you don't throw it.
I feel like
Let's look at verse 13 and then we'll take a quick break. Verse 13, if you remember, one of the spiritual gifts is, where's it at? Service, teaching, exhortation. Yeah, verse 8. Go back to Romans 12, verse 8. I want you to see one of the spiritual gifts. It says the one who exhorts in exhortation and the one who contributes, the one who gives, let him give in generosity. We talked about one of those spiritual gifts being the gift of being generous in your giving. And now Paul's going to give instructions in verse 13. Go to Romans 12, verse 13. What's up, Mark? Can't hear. Can you hear now? Yeah, okay, good. Alright. Let's read verse 13. Contribute to the needs of the saints and to seek to show hospitality. Christians, this is in your notes, Christians should seek to show, easy for you to say, Christians should seek to show hospitality to everyone, especially to the saints. Contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. There is a sense in which the church is primarily to take care of the needs of other Christians. So when it says that we give to the poor, we give to the needy, it's important, according to Paul, to give primary importance on poor Christians when you give. And so that doesn't mean we don't give to the poor in general. We do. But much of the church's ministry should be directed to taking care of the poor saints. He says in verse 13, contribute to the needs of the saints and seek to show hospitality. All right? Hospitality literally means pursuing the love of strangers. That's what hospitality means. Pursuing the love of strangers. There are some of you, and there are some people. Mom, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
There are some people who have a gift of hospitality. Anybody in here feel like that's one of your gifts? You're good at making strangers and just people feel welcome? Yeah?
Yeah.
Have you gotten to use it? You feel like? How have you expressed that?
Just like in one way, like I went to a small Christian school and I was always the person they would have shadow. Like someone came to visit, I would always be the one that they would like give people to show around. I don't know.
That's a good way to show hospitality.
Yeah, and like cooking and stuff.
Uh-huh.
I've always loved just like loving other people in that way.
Everyone else loves you for that too.
We do.
Kibble?
Every time I like church, through youth group, there'd be a new kid coming that like my youth pastor would know about. He'd call me before the service and say, listen, there's a new person coming. You know, this is what they look like. Because I was pretty good at not being awkward at first.
Yeah, that's one way of doing it, where you welcome new people. Amy, you said you do?
I just really like having people over to my house and feeding them, or letting people spend the night, or whatever.
Yeah, I would say your parents have that gift too. You've ever gone to Confluence with us, the conference in Georgia, in McDonough? We stay at Amy's parents' house, and they are fabulous at just taking care of us. And so that's a gift, but that's also something that all Christians are to do. It doesn't say those with the gift of hospitality be hospitable. It says all Christians need to be hospitable as much as possible, right? We need to be sensitive to the needs of others. And so, Hebrews 13, one of the reasons we do this, says, do not neglect to show hospitality to strangers, for thereby some have entertained angels unawares. Who's he talking about? Bible trivia.
Are you talking about was that Moses?
Not Moses.
No.
Oh, Abraham gave food to...
That's right. Abraham welcomes 3 men into his tent. 2 of them are angels. 1 of them is the Lord. And he brings food for them. He brings them into his tent, into the shade, out of the sun, and he shows hospitality. The point here is you don't really know who you're showing hospitality to. So believers should be quick to share their resources with those in need within the body. Someone in your church needs a ride. Someone in your church needs help financially or just with food, or needs help. One of the ways our church does it, we have a meal train. It's this thing set up for when people have babies or when people have surgery. Everyone in the church gets on this rotation of cooking food and bringing it to their house. It's just making sure that their needs are met. And that's one of the ministries of the church, is to show hospitality. Now, in the New Testament, believers would open up their homes to travelers, especially church leaders. Right? Titus, I don't know if I didn't put that one in there. Sorry. So here's a question. Here's a practical question for all of you. And you may not have a kitchen right now. You may live in a dorm where it's just, there's barely room for your bed, all right, and all your clothes.
Just a guy's room.
So here's the question. For when you do have your own place, how can you transform your dinner table and your living room into a missionary? That's the question. Last line, first page. How can you transform your dinner table and your living room into a missionary? Do you understand the question?
Yeah.
What was the blank for that for you?
Share. Megan?
In high school, I was always, like, I went to a really small school, so I would always have, like, the entire senior class over, like, probably once a month, and I would just, like, make food for them and stuff, and I guess kind of in a way, that was, like, a missions kind of thing, because there was a lot of people who otherwise, like, it was really cliquey, and by the end of it, everyone was friends, like, because they just had to be around each other.
That's a good point.
Megan talks about food all the time. I don't think I've ever tasted anything she cooks though.
You were here when she made the mac and cheese.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I must not have been here. Never mind.
You were missing out. Bro.
You really did miss out, dude. You need to taste some of that food.
Before we take a break and look at the second page, what are you hearing in this? Just in these verses, or are you hearing anything? Anything sticking out to you? Anything?
Don't waste your time doing work. I don't want to say like doing worldly stuff's not. It's like wasting your time, like school or something. But don't just make the best use of your time. I guess.
I need to hear that too.
I think a part of
This
this
is
is
to waste
like,
your life.
hearing this, it's kind of like when it says don't be half-hearted, in a sense that like the little things that we do to like make it in the, I guess giving it back to God, like doing your job versus if it's like a garbage man, like doing your job for the love of Christ and not like those little times, but the times when we don't, the little things that we don't think may matter, and if we do it with the right motivation and doing it in the enthusiasm of I'm doing this for God, I'm doing this to further His kingdom, something like that, or I can use this to further like talk to somebody else or like preach the gospel to somebody else, like that's what kind of makes me think of this, like the little things, even if it's just sitting there talking to somebody about shoes, find some way to relate it to Christ, or there's just the little things like that, and I feel like that's an apt way of not wasting your life and just doing aimless things, but even if it's a job of accounting or something, like using it for the kingdom of God.
You have to think about it in the way that God has put you there. There's a reason He's put you there, so you use what He's put you there for to glorify Him, because that's why He put you there. That's how you have to look at it, because if you start looking at it like I'm here because I'm here and I'm here to do this for me, you lose sight on the main goal, which is to glorify Him. He put you there. There is a purpose to it, and that's why you use that to glorify Him.
Yeah, your vocation is not irrelevant. If your major is, there's lots of you that probably are not Christian studies majors, and that's a good thing, because we need Christian plumbers, we need Christian accountants, we need Christian mechanics, so I don't get ripped off when my car breaks down because I don't know how to fix anything. I need a godly person who's going to be able to fix it, and I know that they're not going to screw me over, right? Martin Luther said that a Christian shoemaker is not one who puts crosses on his shoes. A Christian shoemaker is one who makes really good shoes, makes the best shoes. And it's the person who does their job well. Yeah.
This is going to sound really weird, but when my cousin turned 18, she got a tattoo. And believe it or not, she went to a Christian tattoo artist. And my aunt was saying that the whole time that they were there, he was ministering to them. And so my aunt found it real, I guess, comforting that she could talk about Jesus in that area.
They're not going anywhere, are they?
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. Like, that's what my hairdresser does.
It's true.
They can't leave halfway through and have a tattoo that says "I love Mo" on it instead of Mom. Like, I got to stay here for the end. You're not going anywhere. Anything else you're hearing? Anything else the Lord's teaching you? You want to share?
I feel like it's a conviction for me too, because I will be one of those people. Like sometimes it's like you get overwhelmed with certain things that you start going through the motions, and I'll sit there and I was like, I just went through like, or sometimes you go to a church and you're singing a song and half the time you don't understand half the words you're singing. You're just singing it because everybody else is singing it. And I was just like, I just sang this whole entire song and I don't understand half the word I just sang or paid attention to anything I just said. And like in those instances, I'm just like, that was very half-hearted of me. Or my mind is completely somewhere else instead of being where it's supposed to be. And I just, it's kind of like a sense of it just calling me out in the sense that when I'm doing things, to be doing intentional to where, like intentional to God and not do it half-hearted because, you know, it's the right thing to do, but do it because I want to do it.
Yeah. This isn't directed at anybody in this room, but I know that some of the Christian studies professors have said in the past that the best students in their classes are not the majors. It's the people who are not Christian studies majors that are actually the best ones in their classes. Because the Christian studies kids who should be doing their work well tend to be lazy because they assume that they know everything, or they just assume that maybe they've grown up in church and they don't try very hard, and it's a poor testimony about what they're actually going to do. They're studying to go to ministry, but they're not actually doing their work well. And so if you are a major, that's not saying anything specifically to you. It's just saying, if you are a Christian studies major, don't waste that time and be lazy. And don't let that testimony be about you. Be the best one in the class. Don't be late to class. Don't skip class. Go to class, do your work, and do it on time, right? And do it well. That's a testimony about your relationship to Jesus on how you do your work. It doesn't mean you're going to make all A's. It doesn't mean you're going to pass all your tests with flying colors. It just means you're going to do your best. All right? And so that says a lot about you as a Christian, how you do in the class. And that's not just for Christian studies majors. If you're a biology major, you ought to do your best. If you're doing music, you ought to do your best. If you're studying to fly an airplane, please be the best pilot you can be, right? And so I hope that's coming out here. Don't be slothful in zeal. Okay? So, all right, let's take a quick break, and then we'll look at the last part of this section, and then the last passage in just a minute. So let's take a 3-minute break. If you need to use the restroom, it's right over here. Yeah, 3 minutes.
That was nice.
I was unpacking my bags the other night. I was like, I know.